Welcome to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting. We have a big crowd today, and we appreciate your attendance. And for the viewers, we thank you for tuning in. For introductions, on my left is Deb Shore, Commissioner Deb Shore, and Commissioner Todd Wilchin. And on my right is Vice Chair Commissioner Larry Hudkins and Commissioner Bill Avery. And I am Commissioner Roma Amundson, Chair of the Board. And will you all join now in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and thank you. And now, Mr. Clerk, will you begin the agenda, please?
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk's staff. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Agenda item 1 are minutes, approval of minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on Tuesday, March 10th, 2015.
I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 2 are claims, approval of all claims processed through March 17th, 2015.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the claims. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is number 3, special presentations. Commissioner's Award of Excellence. February winner is Dawn Delp, Corrections, in the category of Valor.
Okay, well, please come forward.
Would you like me to read?
Yes,
read this?
please.
Okay. Dawn Delp has been selected as the Commissioner's Award of Excellence winner for February 2015. Dawn works as a correctional officer and began working with the county on March 6, 2014. She was nominated by Kayla Howard, Correctional Officer in the category of Valor. On December 15, 2014, Officer Dawn Delp observed an inmate choking and unable to breathe. The inmate was much larger in size than Officer Delp, but Officer Delp approached the inmate and executed the Helmuth maneuver. It was necessary for her to do this several times until she was able to clear the inmate's airway. Officer Delp was able to do this before any other help arrived. Officer Howard stated there were approximately 17 other inmates out at the time. Her quick action and calm demeanor kept the other inmates calm during the emergency. For these reasons, we're pleased to award Dawn Delp with the Commissioner's Award of Excellence for the month of February 2015.
Okay. Well, that was certainly quick thinking, and he showed a great deal of poise, and thank you.
Well, again, thank you so much, and the clerk reading this, the HR doing this program, and the board recognizing staff. I think you can see today we have many staff that recognize the work. Officer Howard is here as well, who nominated Dawn, and it takes the things you don't see every day behind a jail, and staff doing their job when something emergency happens, and thwarted a very large catastrophe and an injury that could have happened to the inmates. So again, we appreciate you doing this.
On behalf of the Lancaster County Board and all the employees and the 300,000 residents of Lancaster County, thank you for your outstanding action and service. You know, we all sit through hours of training, planning for unknown emergencies, and then in just your short 1-year of service, you were able to use those skills and save a life. So thank you again, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I am very honored and extremely blessed to be receiving such an amazing award. I'd like to thank Officer Kayla Howard for being the one who nominated me for this award. I'd like to thank my 3 beautiful children who inspire me and keep me motivated to always be the best that I can be. I'd also like to thank Mr. Thurber and Mr. Weber and the administration and my lieutenants and sergeants and all the amazing officers I work with. We have such an amazing team. I'd also like to thank Donnie Brandt and Adam Powers and everyone who was a part of the training program. They train us very well so we know exactly what to do in any emergency situation. I only responded how any other officer would have. Thanks again to everyone for everything.
Well, thank you.
I support this, Dan.
Yeah, and we would really, 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 you've got a tremendous following right there. And would you all stand and be recognized? Yeah, from the corrections community. My goodness. Yay. You are certainly very well respected. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you all
so much.
very much.
Next is Lancaster County Visitors Improvement Fund grant in the amount of $35,000 to the City of Lincoln to purchase portable fencing for use at outdoor special events. Julie Latimer, Visitors Improvement Committee Chair, Jeff Mall, Lincoln Convention and Visitors Bureau Executive Director, and Tom Lorenz, SMG Lincoln General Manager.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I mean, a little bit
Yes.
of green up there. Roma?
Hey. I got a green, I got this, and
Gotcha.
I have green earrings.
Well, Carrie had a button or two you could borrow if you needed it. So we wanted to obviously stand in front of you today to talk about the recommendations made by the Visitors Promotion Committee on February 11th. And as Executive Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and playing a big role that our community has in creating a destination development, I want to applaud everybody in the community, the county board, the city council, the mayor, for giving us an amazing facility with Pinnacle Bank Arena. And to borrow a phrase from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come, is truly what's happened with Pinnacle Bank Arena. You look at the success that we had over the last 2 weekends with girls and boys state basketball. We had thousands and thousands of people from across the state embracing the arena, embracing the rail yard, the Haymarket, our entire community. And I truly believe today that when we look at Lincoln, Nebraska, on a statewide basis, we are an extension of rural Nebraska, and people feel welcome in our community. It's our pace of life, it's our quality of life. So I think Pinnacle Bank Arena is a big part of that. And moving forward, we continue to recruit new events with Tom and his staff, and the relationship that we have with Tom is one that I don't think we could have with any other general manager within the SMG system, and we think very highly of him. So with that, I will hand it over to Julie for the recommendation and let Tom answer any questions.
Good morning. Well, as you know, one of the most glamorous parts of Pinnacle Bank Arena and events is fencing. So this request was submitted jointly by Pinnacle Bank Arena SMG and the City of Lincoln for $35,000 to secure 2,400 linear feet of high chain link portable fencing. This fencing would be used for outdoor events in Lincoln throughout the year, and so our committee considered a variety of things, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to let Tom talk about those.
Well, good morning. I want to take the quick opportunity to echo what Jeff said, that thank you very much. The county board was key in providing a lot of our infrastructure for Pinnacle Bank Arena. I'm not sure that you ever get as much credit as you should for that, but we certainly appreciate it. We use it every day. It is a wonderful place, and frankly, I still kind of pinch myself when I get to come to work every morning.
You're not wearing green, so we might be able to pinch
Well,
you.
my wife warned me of that. So. We're also live in a community that allows us to do exterior events and a lot of different special events, and that's unique. When I talk to my peers, this is something different. It doesn't happen everywhere. So as we work through the VPC, as we work through the events team and all the different things, we're able to do a lot of special events that draw people in, that make it a better quality life for people here in Lincoln. As we looked at some of the needs we had, infrastructure, as you say, is such a fun part of it, but truly the fencing that we're asking for and that we're looking at is a key part of what we do. It allows us to safely put a perimeter around an event. It allows us to capture a revenue stream for a ticketing. It allows us to meet the needs of the Nebraska Liquor Commission for a proper perimeter as we make the ambiance in an event a positive one. So the type of fencing we're looking at is there are panels that are 6 foot high by 12 foot long. They're portable. They sit on a stand. They can be, they're great places to put up banners. It creates a very firm and safe perimeter. We've used it at things like Special Olympics. We used it for years at Rib Fest, Celebrate Lincoln. All these different events that are key and cool to do here in Lincoln have this perimeter fence. If we have it on our own, we certainly would continue to work with Jerry Shorney and Dave Norris at the events team, different community events throughout the year, and be allowed to take and help make this happen all over the place. It will continue to help us expand our ability to do events. And we think at the end of the day, more events, more people coming into town. We continue to fill those hotel rooms and make this a great place to live.
Tom, do you mind addressing what it would normally cost you to rent this sort of thing?
The fence rents for anywhere from about $2.50 to about $4.50 a foot, depending on how much demand is year to year. We've been renting it from a company in Kansas City. That was the closest we've been able to do. We rent it for 3 to 6 month periods. Sometimes they need it back, and what we're finding is that our event needs are expanding. We're using it earlier and later. It has been it's been a nice piece to be able to have, even in the winter months, that you want to put people in certain areas, keep someone out of an area, to work an event type of thing. So instead of spending, $8,000 or $9,000 a year over 18 years, this way, having the fence here, it'll be a resource. It'll certainly make it easier for some of these different company or some of the different smaller events to put on their events and have a safety perimeter, because you're not likely, if you're going to do a single one-off event, you can't rent that for 3 months and pay thousands of dollars.
Larry?
Well, Tom, I also understand that this might be used at Pinewood Bowl to help in those facilities there, or at least that's what they told us in Parks and Recreation.
Certainly.
And I'd also like to thank you and Pinnacle for allowing the county commissioners to have their retreat at your facility.
Well, it's an honor to have everyone in there. Yes, we will be using this at Pinewood Bowl. There's just so many cool opportunities here in Lincoln, and I think we were just starting to scratch the surface on the different possibilities. To be able to work with the CVB on things like car shows and a lot of different things that are coming up, you'll see more and more uses for this, and we'll find great uses, and we'd love to host you anytime.
Mm-hmm. Just one question about the process in which you will allow other entities to use this fencing. I'm assuming that there'd be limitations on what type of organization could use this fencing?
Yeah, we've started to work with Carrie and actually discuss some of the different options, or who can use it and who can't. And I know that there is a restriction in the language that talks about certainly not making a profit. And we're not going to become a default rental agency where we just rent it out to anyone and for a profit. It needs to have a community use, and we'll continue to check and clear those things with Carrie.
This is the second fencing allocation we've made out of the fund this year. However, the other one was for the other kind of fencing, so it seems to be popular. And with
We are so creative on our uses.
Yeah. Okay, any further discussion?
I would.
I wondered if I could also clarify that this fencing would be owned by the City of Lincoln and stored and managed by SMG. Mm-hmm. So with all of the caveats that we've discussed, our committee does recommend approval of this request with a contractual clause that neither the City of Lincoln nor SMG Pinnacle Bank Arena make any revenue from the fence rental.
Right.
With that, I would move approval of item 3B.
Second.
I think we have a new business item.
It's 5.
Sorry.
Yeah, we need
It's been moved, what was it?
There's
We
a
need to
new
go to-
business item.
It's the
Actually,
new
5A.
business item. It's 5A.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, this is item 5A has been moved, it's been moved and seconded that we approve item 5A.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes,
You said that nobody, the city and the county would not receive any of the revenue if you were to rent this?
No, neither the City of Lincoln nor SMG Pinnacle Bank Arena
Who
would
does
make
receive
any.
the revenue?
Pardon me?
Who receives the revenue?
It would go directly to offset any costs derived from transportation and storage.
okay, there would be no profit off of it.
No profit would be
And Bill, if we
net of expenses.
If we took it out and set it up, there's certainly staffing costs and
Yes.
transportation, things like that. You try to offset those, but yeah, we're not renting it out for profit.
Why was this not included in the original construction and expenditures? We were renting it before?
Yeah, as we started, we've been renting it at Pershing for years. We've used it for different outdoor events. As we got it, we saw different needs around, and so we certainly worked with the events team to make it happen. It was really an exterior type of a piece. As you worked on Pinnacle Bank Arena, you were really looking at infrastructure because of a limited amount of dollars. Infrastructure that was right at the right in the building. The only exterior things we really did were some street barricades and some bike barricade we'd use right outside. This starts to come off-site into the festival space, Pinewood Bowl, and some different areas. So, and the request came from us. It could have come from any other organization too. The nice part is now it becomes an asset for a large pool of us to use within the city.
And do you expect to save money by purchasing it?
I think we will, definitely will. Every year, one of the costs that we have to offset at like Rib Fest would be the fence rental. So this now by being able to have it there, we will certainly offset some costs with, or we won't have to have the expenditure of cost, and we have the convenience of having it right with us, and some much more flexibility in how we use it.
Thank you.
I will add that having been on the city events team many years ago, it gives us a lot of flexibility too in terms of scheduling when you rent fencing, because you're paying so much. You never want to rent it for longer than the actual need of the event, whereas this would allow us, if we know that you guys are going to use it for a little while, but then it can just sit out for a couple of days and go to a car show. It gives us a lot more flexibility in that way as well.
All right, I think we have a motion and a second to approve this. Is there any further discussion? Okay, let's call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
bet.
very much.
We have an item under old business, a resolution in matter of relaxing the design standards for rehabilitation of Upper Salt Creek Dam 3A in the area of West Stagecoach Road in the vicinity of Southwest 2nd Street, Lancaster County, Nebraska.
I will move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. New business 5B is an amusement license renewal application for Capital City Horse and Pony Club at 12900 North 14th Street, Raymond, on August 15, 2015.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this amusement license renewal. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5C is a resolution authorizing the issuance of health care revenue bonds. This is for a Tabitha Inc. project, Series 2015C, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6,500,000.
Okay. If you would please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Scott Keene, Emeritus Investment Corp. Mike Rogers with Gilmore and Bell.
The festive duo.
Doing our best. We didn't
Yeah.
coordinate on the ties, but it sure looks like we did. Darcy Brink from Tabitha Inc. is here as well today. We are in front of you to request consideration of a resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $6.5 million of bonds on behalf of Tabitha Inc. for a project in Crete, Nebraska. The reason the bonds would be issued through Lancaster County are multifaceted, but the main benefit for Tabitha is that it allows them to borrow the money on a tax-exempt basis, which is clearly advantageous in today's market. The bond resolution that you're considering would allow for multiple financings. We expect to do the issue in a single issuance sometime in the next couple months, but we may end up doing it in smaller pieces to try to lock in some interest rate advantage. Tabitha won't be opening bids on the project until June, so we're on a slightly slower timeline than we'd originally considered, but maybe in the market in the next few weeks. The financing does maximize the allowable interest rate at 5%. Does not limit the term, but Tabitha expects to issue the bonds with a term of approximately 20 years, and that matches the financings that they've done on an earlier basis for other projects that they have. I believe you've had the documents for a bit. The county attorney's office, I know, has reviewed them. I guess without any questions at this point, I might turn it over to Mike just to walk through a quick summary of what the documents provide and allow.
Will you be addressing the reason, the reason why, excuse me, Lancaster County is able to provide this financing for?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
I'll cover that. Again, Mike Rogers, Gilmore and Bell, Bond Counsel for the county. Excuse my voice, I have some kind of a cold here. Yes, the county would serve as issuer for this project, which would be located in Crete, and under Nebraska law, sections 13-1101 through 13-1110, the county can serve as issuer for a project outside its jurisdiction, so long as the county finds that a reasonable relationship exists between the county and the borrower, or between the county and the project. And here, as you may know, Tabitha's headquarters are in Lancaster County. They employ a large number of employees here, and the administrative function of Tabitha for the project in Crete would be located here in Lancaster County. So that's the state law authorization which allows the county to serve as issuer for this project. The bonds would be issued pursuant to an indenture, which would be an agreement between the county and a trustee, and proceeds would be immediately loaned to Tabitha Inc. And the benefits under the loan agreement between the county and Tabitha Inc. would be assigned by the county to the trustee. And after the issuance of the bonds, the county would have no pecuniary liability with respect to repayment of the bonds. The responsibility for repayment would be solely Tabitha's. And there would be no tax holder or taxpayer, no taxpayer liability. And in fact, the statute specifically require the bonds on their face provide a statement that the bond, including principal and interest thereon, shall not constitute or give rise to a pecuniary liability of the county or a charge against its general credit or taxing powers. And that language shows up in the resolution as well. So it is the reason that a governmental issuer is required for a financing like this is because under federal tax law, in order for interest on the borrowing to be tax exempt, which results in a lowering borrowing cost for Tabitha, there needs to be a governmental issuer involved. And this structure is very common and is used commonly around the country for 501c3 borrowers. So that's a brief rundown of the structure. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Other questions? Yes.
Can either of you explain why the Lancaster County is being asked to do this instead of the city of Crete or Saline County?
Sure. The Crete and Saline County both have a number of financing needs of their own this year in 2015. They have the ability to issue bonds in what's called a bank qualified status, so long as they don't expect to issue tax exempt bonds in an amount in excess of $10 million during the year. They can designate their own bonds as bank qualified. And the concern was that this Tabitha financing could push them over the $10 million mark and would then prevent them from issuing bank qualified bonds for themselves. So that they were at the moment not willing to move forward with the financing like this for someone like Tabitha.
Bill?
I still have one lingering question. I know we've discussed this twice before. Can you identify any risk to the county? And if so, what would that be?
I suppose there may be some theoretical risk in that because the county is named in the documents, if something were to happen with the bonds or there would be some default, it's possible the county could be named in some sort of a lawsuit, but which would be, of course, result in an administrative expense for the county at the very least. But to my knowledge, in Nebraska, in all the years of there being conduit financings, and even when there have been defaults on conduit financings like this, and this is called a conduit financing, where the 501c3 borrower has gone bankrupt even, the issuer has not been involved in any of the resulting fallout in terms of litigation or liability. And under the statutes, it's been made clear that the county wouldn't be liable. So I think the biggest risk would be administrative hassle or burden in the event there might be some kind of a default.
Well, there have been defaults around the country.
That's right.
But we've had a good experience here in Nebraska, and I think that is true.
Yes, there have been municipal defaults, like the city of Detroit, for example, which is different than what this would be. The only types of municipal defaults in Nebraska have been sanitary and improvement districts, which are development districts in the Omaha area primarily. This is a little bit different because a default would be if the borrower itself had financial trouble. And that has happened in some instances in Nebraska where a 501c3 borrower has run into financial difficulty or trouble, but I don't know that, I'm not aware that any of those have resulted in any negative impact on the issuer.
So the primary advantage here is to provide Tabitha with the tax-exempt feature of the bonds.
That's right.
That means the investor, those who buy the bonds, would have a tax exemption as well, right?
The benefit is that the investor doesn't pay tax on their interest income. Mm-hmm. And so that means a lower borrowing cost for Tabitha.
And that would make the bonds more popular, and you'd be able to sell them more rapidly.
Correct.
I get it. Thank you.
Just a few more questions regarding the project and its nexus with the Lancaster County. Is it the bonds will be used for what type of housing and create?
I may defer to Darcy to give a little description of the project itself.
Good morning, Darcy Brink with Tabitha. I'm the CFO. It will be a replacement project, so we currently have 44 beds, skilled nursing beds in Crete at the old hospital. This will be a replacement project of 2 living communities, 17 beds each. Within those skilled nursing, they'll both be skilled nursing facilities. We're calling them the small house model, similar to our greenhouse model that we have here in Lincoln.
And then also during the presentation, you mentioned about the administrative part being in Lancaster County. About how many people are employed by Tabitha in Lincoln and Lancaster County? Do you know?
Overall, all-encompassing Tabitha is about 1,100 to 1,200 employees. That includes full-time and part-time. I'm not exactly for sure, just honing it into Lancaster County, what that would encompass, but a majority of those folks are in Lincoln and Lancaster County. Okay, any other questions? Okay.
I could, if I might, comment on that greenhouse, those houses you have out in East Lincoln. They were right in the heart of my legislative district, and I did have the opportunity to tour them. It's a great concept and seems to be working well. I don't expect you guys would have default problems.
No, I would, yes, hope not that we would not have default problems. The greenhouse is a fantastic model, so I'm thankful that you're supportive of that.
Well, and Darcy, I just want to say that, yeah, I've been to the campus out south of town by Williamsburg, and I think that Tabitha is a great community partner for Lincoln and Lancaster County, and even southeast Nebraska. And so I'll be supportive of the issuance.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you.
I will move approval of the agreement.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this agreement for Tabitha. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
D is an interlocal agreement with the Village of Firth for 1 sheriff's deputy for law enforcement services within the corporate limits of the Village of Firth. Term of the agreement is April 1st, 2015 to March 31st, 2016.
Morning, Terry Wider, Lancaster County Sheriff. For Mr. Avery and Mr. Wilchin's benefit, I'll explain a little bit about our contract services with a number of the cities in Lancaster County. Waverly and Hickman both have contracts for full-time or more than full-time dedicated coverage to their cities, and they contract with us for that coverage. The employees are still ours. We pay their wages and benefits. They reimburse us for wages, benefits, and vehicle costs. Firth, Hallam, Denton, and Bennett are just a little bit different in that they don't need full-time coverage. So they worked out an agreement where They'll work with a deputy for some dedicated coverage to their city whenever they feel they need it. The deputies will put in for overtime. We pay them the overtime wage, and then the village or the city with the contract reimburses us for their wages, benefits, and for the wages and for the vehicle costs. So that's how it works. And this is a contract with Firth. I think they're generally 10, 15 hours per month of dedicated coverage, so it's not a huge expenditure, but what that does do is it inflates our overtime budget a bit because we're putting out the overtime for those communities, but it's revenue neutral. We're getting reimbursed for that.
I will move approval of the agreement.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this interlocal agreement with the Village of Firth. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5E is an agreement with the Journal Star Printing Company for advertising sample ballot and absentee ballot applications. Term of the agreement is March 1st, 2015 to February 28th, 2016.
Hi, Dave Shively with the Election Commissioner's Office. This is just our annual agreement with the Journal Star for the publication of our sample ballots and absentee applications and notices of election. It just gives us a little cheaper rate if we have an agreement with them as if we don't. So I just would encourage passage of the agreement.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this agreement with the Journal Star. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. F is an agreement between Lancaster County on behalf of the Lancaster County Election Commissioner and Steve McClatchy for the delivery of voting machines and other miscellaneous equipment to several polling locations for the city primary to be held on Tuesday, April 7th, 2015. The county will pay $55 per polling location for the delivery service.
Again, this is our agreement, both, and I'll talk both F and G because they are the same for both elections, but this is mainly to deliver the Automark voting machines, which is our machine that assists voters with disabilities to be able to vote in private and unassisted, and they are about 70 to 80 pounds a piece, and so we really can't load them into a poll worker's car and have them take them and bring them back. So they do deliver them. We've worked with Steve ever since we first done this. This is for 9 years, and this is one of the things that we really don't have to worry about. Steve has taken very good care of us in getting those delivered with he and his team, and he has the required insurance coverage and everything that he needs to do this. So again, I would just encourage passage of these two agreements.
Well, thank you. Yes, Larry?
How many voting machines do you have for?
For the city elections, there'll be about 150. When we do statewide, or statewide elections, when we include the rural precincts, it gets to about 175. So quite a few to be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
I just had one question. It looks like it's an individual, but it's actually a company?
No, it's an individual.
Okay. And so then he has employees that...
He has a group of men that he pays to assist him in doing this.
And so is he a sole proprietor, or is it, I mean...
He actually, he's the husband of one of my staff members,
okay.
and when we first approached him about doing this, he approached us about being willing to do this. So I think we can do this cheaper this way than hiring a company to do it. And he has the right insurance, which has gone through the county attorney's office and through the risk manager. So.
Brittany Barons, Deputy Lancaster County Attorney. He's required to procure the same insurance as all of our contractors are, so he meets the requisite general liability as well as statutory requirements for work comp insurance. So any staff member, just like all of our contractors, he's required to have workers' compensation insurance to cover those employees.
Bill?
I'm curious as to whether you know, Dave, is this already budgeted, or is this in addition to the budget we approved?
No, but this is budgeted. This is part of our budget.
Yes. All right.
Okay, any further discussion? All right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this. I beg pardon?
I will move approval.
Move approve. I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this with Lancaster County on behalf of the election commissioner. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. G is an agreement between Lancaster County on behalf of the Lancaster County Election Commissioner and Steve McClatchy for the delivery of voting machines and other miscellaneous equipment to several polling locations for the city general election to be held on Tuesday, May 5th, 2015. The county will pay $55 per polling location for the delivery service.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agreement on behalf of the Lancaster County Election Commissioner. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5H is a contract with Great Plains Appraisal, Inc. in the amount of $2,700 for appraisal services on a project at North 27th Street from Arbor Lake to Waverly Road, project number C55G 407 bracket 2.
I will move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the contract with Great Plains Appraisal. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. I is a contract between Moore Medical LLC, the City of Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the Lincoln-Lancaster County Public Building Commission for durable medical goods, first aid and safety-related supplies, equipment, and services. The county will pay for goods according to the NJPA contract number 080614-MML. Term of the agreement is March 15, 2015 through March 18th, through August 18th, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5J is utility permit number 1253 for Windstream Nebraska, Inc. to perform cable installation approximately 3.5 miles along West Sprague Road from Southwest 58th Street to Southwest 29th Street, then north along Southwest 29th Street to West Martell Road, and then east on West Martell Road.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the utility permit. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. K is a utility permit number 1254 for Windstream Nebraska, Inc. to perform cable installation approximately 2.5 miles along West Sprague Road from Southwest 58th Street to just west of Southwest 86th Street and a portion of West Sprague Road at Southwest 140th Street.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the utility permit. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. L is utility relocation agreement with Norris Public Power District to relocate a power line facilities for a road grading project on South 54th Street from Hickman Road to Roca Road, project number C55S 405 bracket 3.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the utility relocation agreement. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. M is an amendment to County Contract C-14-193 with All Needs Computer and Mailing Services, Inc. for the annual requirements of mailing services. The amendment renews the agreement for an additional one-year term from April 15, 2015 to April 14, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this amendment. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. N is an amendment to County Contract C-14-93 with Hub Central Access Point for the implementation of an evidence-based juvenile offender reentry program. The amendment extends the end date of the grant contract to June 30th, 2015.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this amendment. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Abstain.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 4 yes, 1 abstention. 5-0 is a political subdivision tort claim filed against Lancaster County Corrections by Marion P. Stanley for lost property in the amount of $150.
Based upon the recommendation of the Director of Corrections, I move we deny this tort claim.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we deny the political subdivision tort claim. Any discussion?
Yes. I think it's worth pointing out that the property that is at issue here has been located by corrections. They've tried to locate the person who is making the claim and cannot find the person. So I am going to support the denial.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is number 6, consent items. Receive and place on file the following monthly report for February 2015. This is for the Lancaster County Sheriff.
Move approval of the consent item.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent items. Please call the roll.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 7 is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to county business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
And we do have some guests here, I believe, do we not? Are you students? Okay, would you please stand and tell us where you're from? Mm-hmm.
My name is Chaz Bogat from Omaha, Nebraska, studying journalism at the University of Nebraska.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm from Omaha, Nebraska,
Uh-huh.
studying public relations.
Okay, and you all travel together up here or separately? Okay. Okay, well, very good. Thank you for coming. Gary?
Are you ready? Chair Amundson, members of the board, for the record, Gary Aldridge, ALDRIDGE, 68516. I'm one of the owners. The grandkiddies are beginning to whisper about the company I keep late AM on Tuesday. Trust me on this, whispering grandkiddies is not always a good thing. Tuesday last, my plan was not to be here today. We both need a break. Alas, here I am. So much for best intentions. My issue today is old business, or troubling business. Last Tuesday, action previously taken by this board was revisited, a salary adjustment. It seems some are bobbling or wobbling or weaving around pay and salary. Sounds much like a last call crowd, downtown Lincoln, game night. In January, the board, at staff meeting, discussed and or argued, then acted on chief deputy salary. That discussion in January sounded more like debate on how many angels or fairies or pixies dance on a pin. Is it 90% or 91% or 92%? 95% now is the correct angel count. Tuesday last, the board affirmed or confirmed a salary adjustment in the treasurer's office. Few were well appointed in this matter. The players, executive, administrative, personnel, legal, and or treasurer share that this did not move smoothly or without flaws. The stampede to expediency was explained as streamlining. Streamlining the process still requires due diligence. The presentation made by the treasurer to the board and by extension to citizens was underwhelming. The treasurer or another was directed to construct and submit a document rephrasing the need for this previous action. The explanation was weak. Almost anyone could construct and submit the document. As example, the sun rises in the east, travels the sky, and sets in the west. Oh, by the way, we have this exceptional circumstance employee who deserves more salary. The board vote again was approval, 3-2. In fact, the record vote was 3 yes, 1 no, 1 abstain. And so the salary adjustment became permanently permanent rather than temporarily temporary. The no vote was wrong only from the position of equality. Equal work equals equal pay. The no vote may have been unhappy and this was bungled and clumsy, and also unconvinced it must happen all at once. The abstain, I think, abstained from no. Abstain may be another way to say no. Justification was dragged in. Why is this done? The reason for salary adjustment should be alpha and omega and every stop between. Trust, but justify. Two who voted yes Tuesday last, as I remember, voted another way on a salary increase in January. The two events or votes may not be equivalent. A person of reasonable intelligence may understand these two events as equivalent or not. I let others speak to that. Except for the target employee, no party is completely blameless, as an innocent. In this, after all, if we allow the one with no sin to cast the first stone, there will be little rock chucking. Who's to blame? As Hillary would say, what difference does it make now? Looking back, little. Looking forward, that is for you to sift. Final thoughts. 6 owners, Reed citizens, with residential property of average value will see every tax dollar they pay to Lancaster County consumed by this salary adjustment. The $1, more or less, per hour cost of this adjustment will not be a crushing burden for those who pay. That $1 sounds like small potatoes compared, for example, to $20 more or less per hour salary of each seat on the board. Thank you. Keep in mind that small potatoes are not exactly the same as no potatoes. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments.
Next is number 8, announcements. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Thursday, March 19, 2015 at 8:30 a.m. in the Bill Luxford studio at the County City Building. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold their next regular meeting on Tuesday, March 24, 2015 at 10:30 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building with the Board of Equalization immediately following. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live. It is rebroadcast on Tuesday and Saturday on 5 City TV, cable channel 5. In addition, the meeting may be viewed on the internet at lancaster.ne.gov under 5 City TV video on demand, or 5 City TV on YouTube.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please call the roll.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
The meeting of the Board of Commissioners is closed. Let's now open the Lancaster County Board of Equalization.
A copy of the West Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk's staff. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Also in attendance this morning is Scott Gaines from the County Assessor's Office. Agenda item 1 are minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held on Tuesday, March 10th, 2015.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any corrections or additions? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 2 are additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the additions and deductions. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 3 is a public hearing, motor vehicle tax exemption applications for Catholic Social Services, Cedars Youth Services, Christian Record Services, Inc., Nebraska United Methodist Foundation, and Tabitha, Inc.
Okay, we will now open the public hearing for discussion on the motor vehicle tax exemption applications. Is there anyone speaking in favor of these exemptions? Any opposition? Any neutral? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and please move forward.
Approval of 3A.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the motor vehicle tax exemption applications. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Move we
No-
adjourn.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudgens,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we are adjourned.